So as you guys may have seen in episode 48, Roy and I were pretty unsuccessful during archery season in Ohio. After a break for Thanksgiving, I had high hopes for getting into more action when the gun season started, but after 3 days of hunting from daylight till dark and not having much more action, I decided it was time for a change. Although I knew the odds of seeing deer weren't going to get any better going to the Northeast, I knew that getting a fresh start in a new area would help me kind of reset expectations and ultimately help me have more fun. So I was sitting at Ben's apartment contemplating what to do, and I called our friend John Lewis from Just Hunt Club, and he lives up in New York. So I kind of asked him about what he thought the conditions were looking like for any opportunity to do some tracking up in the Northeast, and he suggested that we try New York because there were still several days left of season and they were going to be getting more snow. I decided now was a great opportunity to go. I packed my stuff the next morning and I made the long drive to New York. My expectations were only to learn what makes tracking in the Northeast a unique and challenging style of hunting, and to be able to create a video that shows you all what I learned regardless of what we saw or shot at. So throughout this video, I'm going to pop back in and kind of break down what we learned each day and hopefully paint a better picture of what I took away from the trip. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let's get to some action. But if you start crawling, you get your head down, it's really nice. It's just a great high. It's weird.
I've seen some miles.
It's nasty. Look at
the gristle has worked its way through it.
There's a lot of things that are starting to fall apart. It won't last for forever, but
Nothing does.
that's right. Please do your best to disregard the complete unorganization that we got. I was like, I'm going tomorrow. Just threw everything in.
And now you're in the Northwoods.
Now we're up north.
Got some good snow.
Dude, this is freaking awesome. I'm getting pretty pumped. Like, with no experience doing this, what could we even do wrong? Just bump him?
Persistence kills deer tracking.
And we can do that. Let's go get persistent.
5 minutes later, we're already back at camp. Zach forgot his license, so good thing we're close by.
About forgot the dang tag, so persistence kills him, but we had to call it a day early.
Now we're ready.
Now we're ready. Luckily we're not that far. I have the very bare minimum, but it's still...
That's fine. You're good.
Still...
You got a sandwich?
I got a couple sandwiches. We'll run sandwich out there.
Run a pot call on this couch or a sandwich?
You think I should go ahead and shoot these signs now or later?
You might as well get one out.
Here's what I've been practicing. Oh, it's fast.
You got him up against the fence?
Yeah. He's hung up in the fence. So this is my first day ever like tracking in my life. I've hunted snow before, but never had like these exact conditions to go just take a track and go for as far as I want. Right now to start is just walking this trail, covering ground fast. I think other places in the country you'd drive if you had the opportunity just to cut tracks and cover ground fast, but we're walking this trail. We're already on fresh tracks and we're like 200 yards from the truck, so that's pretty good. Yeah. Hopefully it's not too many deer. Like Brett said, it's like you don't want to run into a bunch of deer, but it is exciting to see fresh track and how well we can see that.
It's a little one, but...
Yeah, a little one, but... Think about just like him just stuffing them in there. He's got...
Just getting after it.
Yeah. Creeping. Oh, there he is. Man, wouldn't you love to see one? It's like 2 o'clock and
we're just covering ground still. We've seen a lot of, I mean, not a lot of old tracks, but enough to keep you going. And we're having fun. We're telling stories and talking strategy. And I mean, it's honestly about as fun as it gets without seeing deer. Because you're just like, at any given point, anything can happen. So there's a couple birds, that's nice. We actually saw some geese too, that was cool. And then some old bear tracks. I mean, we're in the stuff, not right in it, but we're like around it. So we're gonna keep her moving. No, dude, I just came up and karate chopped that the other day. Weird rocks, man. Let's add that to the list of cool stuff we've seen. Weird rocks, birds, and old bear tracks and old deer tracks. Dude, that's so far up there. That's scary. Nope. We're a long way for somebody to come back here and build that. Add it to the list of cool stuff.
Obviously, that first day, we didn't run into much for fresh tracks, but there are a few things that stand out that I learned that day. The first thing would be, when you have fresh tracks, don't pass them, even if they aren't big buck tracks. A lot of times deer are using the same food sources and stuff like that, so if you can get on even a doe track, it may lead you to where you can find those other deer. When we left the truck that morning, we had big plans of walking a long way deep into public land to hopefully cut a fresh big buck track, but only a couple hundred yards in, we hit a fresh doe track. We passed it, hoping we would find more fresh stuff as we got deeper in there, but we never did. And obviously hindsight's 20/20, but at the end of the day, Brett and I both wished that we would have just checked those tracks out, see where they led, to see if they would lead us to some other sort of deer sign. And we kind of made the decision that in the days following, if we saw fresh deer tracks, we were going to follow them no matter what. Also, that first day, I learned about some of the food sources that the deer were going to be using. They were feeding on different things than I had seen in the past, and even though the feeding sign we found wasn't fresh, it was obvious that deer were drawn to ferns and beech nuts. So in the next few days when we'd be moving through the woods, we knew that we'd be looking ahead, looking at the trees, looking for beech trees, and also looking at the ground, looking for those ferns. Not every beech tree was attractive to the deer. They weren't all dropping beech nuts, but we knew moving forward that when we were moving through the woods, we'd be looking up ahead, looking for those beech trees to check under to see if there was fresh feeding sign under them. All right, let's get to the action of day 2.
Morning 2.
Cold as heck.
It's cold.
Got the glass. Some hardwoods.
Dude, I'll tell you what. This pair of Vortex, sick. They just pull light so well. I kind of feel like cheating.
Now you fit in.
Yeah.
Now you're going to track down a buck.
I know.
One thing I like to do, if you have your track from the day before and the snow conditions haven't changed that much, is take a step next to your track from the day before and just look at the differences in the track. This one is froze up a little bit. There's some crystals in it right here where you can determine the difference, and this one's, the edges are a lot more rounded. I always like to touch the edge of the track. You can see super soft. This one still soft, but maybe down at the base here it's getting harder. So the subtle differences here where they look fairly similar make a big difference on aging that track.
It's 2 days in a row now that we've been starting down this trail and we've seen fresh tracks. Yeah, yesterday it was even closer to where we parked, so it's like, well, maybe we just keep going. But now it's like, all right, maybe we need to follow these because that's going to maybe lead us to the rest. So here we go. Seems like a cold cross. Well, there's a bunch of deer that did it. I mean,
Well, even like, yeah, it's like to say going both ways. That even looks like a pretty good track. I was going back the other way. That could have been, who knows. We're actually luckily not far from the truck. We're gonna run back out to the head, cross this river on the road, drive and park at another spot and come back down in, and hopefully these deer continue that away and don't cross
Yeah.
back. No, they'll do that. And it's
I
like,
believe
ugh.
I believe it.
Play that game all day.
I just found this bed. It's small. There's tracks scattered through all of this that are like last night. Yeah, last night. They're not fresh enough for us to like really feel overly confident on taking one up either. And we haven't seen, I don't think anything that's like standout big, but you've got to believe with as many deer in here as there are that there'd be a big buck somewhere. And as long as we keep following these deer and try to get closer, it seems like as we get fresher, then we'll start paying a little more attention to like something specific. But as of right now, it's just like meandering through this forest. And this woods, I think, looks really good. It's just a little bit different than where we were yesterday. There's like more maple shoots, which Brett pointed out. We can tell deer are feeding on stuff. And then there's a bed, a dinky little bed. But it's cool. We just keep following. At some point, we'll hit something fresh. He's moving. Definitely fresher. Is it? Yeah. It's not frozen like the other one. We walked quite a ways away from where we saw that guy. We're actually getting into the center, and then we crossed a big trail, so hopefully this is all those deer that we were following earlier, just circled up. Seems like that's the most clear. We just pop up there and then take a look. There's wet spots right here. I mean, I can't tell that these are big buck tracks or if they're just doe tracks. I can't really tell.
Those aren't frozen.
No, they're not frozen.
It's gonna freeze in 15 minutes here.
And they could have been down here when we popped over and could have ran, potentially. Dead ready. Shoot. Barely frozen. I bet we bumped him when we went up there. That doesn't seem like a big bed. These three.
There were tracks.
So we came up to the top of this ridge. We were playing it slow, thinking that the deer might be bedded up close to the top. And it seems like they were, because, well, they were. They're bedded right below the top here.
On a different shelf there.
Yeah, and we were up there, and you can tell if you look back, there's like all this dense vegetation between us and where they were, and it looks like we bumped them. I guess I don't think it necessarily looks like there's a buck bed right here, but that's not to say there's not one close. But we're on fresh deer, like these, we definitely bumped these, I'd say. We actually were noticing a running track as we were coming in this way, but it seems like they may be just scattered, I don't know. The thing that had me worried the whole time is just that it was a lot of deer moving together. And not to say that a buck isn't in that group, but then when they all went over here and bedded, it was like, but that's what kind of makes me think maybe there was a buck and he's gone a different direction.
We didn't find much the rest of day 2, just some old tracks and some fresh hunter sign. So when we got back to camp that night, we decided it was time to go back to the drawing board and find a different place to hunt on the last day. We had finally found fresh sign in that area we had been hunting, but we didn't necessarily feel like we had good odds of finding a big buck track. As far as habitat goes, the timber in that area was very open and there wasn't much diversity, and on a big scale, there weren't many changes in terrain. So when we got back to camp that night, we started comparing maps of where we had been hunting to other public land areas that were close to us, and we decided that we wanted to target an area where we could see more topography on the map and also more diversity. So we were looking at the map for different color changes in an aerial photo, and that was showing us edges between hardwoods and softwoods, but more importantly, we were looking for areas with a lot of terrain change, giving more opportunity for deer to bed up high compared to where we had been hunting. But some of these other areas that we started looking at on the map just had a whole bunch of different ridges, long fingers that went off of the main ridge, and that just creates more bedding opportunity for deer to bed up higher, looking down to stuff below them. Again, if you're looking at a map and you're seeing a bunch of different potential bedding points, it seems like that just bumps the number of deer up. I've seen that in Ohio, Georgia, and now New York, and also when I'm turkey hunting in any mountainous terrain, I also notice the same thing when I find deer sign. There's a lot of terrain change, there's just higher odds of there being more deer. So going into the last day, we decided to switch locations and find a spot that just better suited what we were looking for on the map.
All right, I think we got everything.
Have fun.
Thanks.
They're fresh.
Yeah. We are seriously, what, 200 yards from the truck? And there's deer tracks here. That didn't take long, dude.
You see that? They're pawing. It looks like a scrape, right? The V. If it was a buck, you'd see like something like that. Other side. Maybe. Yeah, that could be. I mean, not a giant one, but it's buck.
Basket enough for us.
That could be a buck.
That could be the caliber one we're after.
Actually, yeah, or at least close to it.
Right, that's like, it looks like it's actually the print of where his tarsal would be.
See the stains in the snow right there.
Yeah. God, that's wicked. Man, I got the barnyard and all this in here. Look how tall that is. And that's... There.
How about I take it?
That's insane. Think about a big buck just... It's not today, but pretty fresh.
Oh, we got go.
We got circles. We've just been walking in circles. It's 10:30. We need to not be walking in circles. So we're just gonna try to cut up. You know, I'd rather, I mean, at this point, honestly, like you said, I get it now. I'd rather not see deer tracks all day than just be circling myself. 'Cause I doubt everything right now. It's not worth it.
The density will start to diminish as we get higher.
Okay.
And then we'll hopefully get one up there a bit that's like Single big track.
Yeah.
Bingo.
You know, that whole first day not seeing fresh tracks really messed with me.
No, I feel the same way.
This is hard. I mean, I guess I feel confident when we're on something,
Right.
but like this is the part that's proving to be way harder than I thought, which is awesome. Because it's like, okay, I'm addicted. Like, I don't understand it totally, so I want to know more. And like, I'm looking at it like, at the very least, can't wait to come back and do it again in the future. At least somewhere. Did you say it?
It was a doe, but I'm not sure. I just smelled deer right before.
Dude, me too. I was like, well, we saw doe. Cut some fresh doe tracks right there, and then saw deer run, so that's good.
Yeah.
We're headed towards that like next elevation up. That's where we're hoping to find deer, so.
Unfortunately, I was staring at this big rock when we pulled up.
I would have never had a shot.
She was out there a ways.
Yeah, it was too far, but she wasn't going very fast. But we're going fast, so she got
If we
out.
were going slower, we probably would have got up.
Oh yeah, I think. It's actually pretty quiet out here.
There's a bed. I think we're gonna track out of the bed there, but we didn't see her till she was up in there. So,
Yeah, you can smell her. Man, that's crazy. It's hard to say then. I mean, like a 6-year-old buck up here, he'd stink bad, man. Shoosh.
just made up my mind that I'm coming back here at some point.
Oh, this spot.
What's going on?
We're just seeing an insane amount of cool habitat and design too, so compared to where we were, this is night and day. It's like, but hey, we're learning, and that's success. You know, when we come back the next time, we're that much ahead of what we were when we got here. You know, pretty sweet. We're learning. We're cutting fresh tracks, bump those does. We're gonna be on something.
Hammer marks.
Is that what that is?
Do you see some?
It might be.
For sure. Those are 100% marks.
Okay. So now we're on one.
This one.
I think, right? I mean, sometimes it looks big, sometimes it doesn't. We got a jack. Looks like there might be some tine marks in the feeding sign, so we're gonna follow that and see where it leads us.
B there, but that definitely dribbled. B, which bucks usually do for quite a ways here.
Same thing. Smells strong.
Same dribble.
Yeah. Been following a lone track that we think might be this is. Look what you can see.
I mean, who knows when we didn't even hear him or see him.
No. Because we just hit that dropping that was not frozen. 2 beds down there. Walking tracks out of the bed. Seemed like a bed shift up to the next level up. Probably saw us, heard us, smelled us, whatever. Whew. And I felt like we did a really good job there, really. I mean, we moved low pretty quick.
You can play perfect, but then they just...
Oh, they're better.
He bedded here for a reason.
They're better than you. Almost 100% of the time, they're better than you. I mean, that's the difference between spot and stalk and track, though. It's like when you spot one, you can be better than him because you can watch his weaknesses, but you can't. You are completely guessing his weaknesses here or hoping that he even has one. You probably hear something.
Yeah.
You maybe see something, and then as soon as he gets a whiff, he's definitely gone.
We were hoping to catch track down low that was coming up to bed up on one of these real steep, up on the mountain, and he did it. He knew we were coming before he saw him, that's all. That's how it goes sometimes.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I'm not really actually that bummed about it, mostly because I figure if we do end up getting one, it's going to take a bump. I think it would be hard to get one on the very first try. Because I almost feel like the bump like puts them in a position they don't want to be in.
Yeah, no, you're right, it does, 100%. If he's tired and wants to keep bedding, he's going to be in a worse and worse position.
Dang, man, that's fun. I feel like I got my fix of being really focused right there. You know, I'd love I was in it there, and I mean, you just got to keep getting reps doing it. I mean, it's pretty cool to learn about it. Dang, I was hoping that we'd get him to stand up at 20 yards and be like, "Who's here?"
That's the dream.
Alright, we're getting close to sunset here. We're not really on anything. Those deer that we were on just kept going up. Learned a lot today. I mean, for future years, just getting tracking experience in general too. Yesterday we got to track those does and that was fun. We got to learn a lot then, and we got to try it again today, which is really all you can ask for. I mean, we had perfect conditions. The things that I learned: move fast, try to catch up with the deer when it makes sense to. You know, if they're moving fast, you move fast. If they're moving slow, you move slow. And just being able to apply that. You know, I've heard that for years, but actually being able to do it is, you know, pretty fun. Really teaches you a lot about it. The other thing that I think I learned for mountain hunting for deer in general, and I've said it in other states too, it's like if you can find an area where there's just a whole bunch of potential bedding points, seems like there's more deer. And we were looking at the map, we had a couple places pinned like this. Brett also had an aerial photo up here, and he was like, man, there's just more diversity. You know, there's some color change on the map as you go up the mountain, and we were like, this is the spot. We get here and there's just tons of rubs, tons of deer tracks fresh. I mean, tons of old rubs, historic sign, new sign. It was awesome. It's an awesome day of learning about deer in the mountains. I think just overall, you know, just staying persistent to do this. You know, conditions are important, but just continuing to go and go and go. And I cannot wait to do it again. I'm if I seem bummed in this, it's simply because season's over. It's just man, I wish I would have, you know, had a little bit more time. And it's my own fault. I kind of got caught up in doing other stuff, and then all of a sudden that wasn't working. I was like, I got to change it up or I'm going to go crazy. So I decided to come here. We saw one deer, but I don't regret that one bit. And that's the beauty of it. I understand how much different hunting situations can be from one part of the country to the next. And I just love experiencing it. And this won't be the last time that I'm in the Northeast. It's not going to be the last time I'm tracking in the North, maybe out West even. I just want to thank Brett, John, and Jake, and then also Corey and Bailey. They were the other guys that were sharing camp with us. You know, Brett ran around with me for 3 days, taught me a ton, and those other guys as well. You know, just conversation at camp. It's fun to just sit there and soak it in. And I wouldn't change it for the world. It was awesome, man. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, even though we didn't really see much. We learned a lot. Hopefully you did too. See you on the next video.